Hey everybody, so good to see you. So I just wanted to pop on here and talk about the energies for today a little bit because I was in conversation with a good friend of mine and we were noticing that there was some crazy energies going on and that we were experiencing in our environment. She texted me and said, "Don't drive today," because she was out on the freeway and there was all kinds of crazy happening. And so I just wanted to talk about that for a minute because there is a lot of crazy energy happening right now. And there was this message this morning from Joy Kingsborough, my mentor, about connection and conversations and speaking your truth, and all of that is definitely the case today. And yet there's also this other thing coming in where I think it's important for us to be aware of, and not necessarily so we can focus on it, but just to be aware of it. Is this energy, the energy of disconnection that we're witnessing as well, where the codependence is coming to a head, and the being disconnected from one another. And there's this part of this energy that is causing this. It's not causing it, but we're noticing it being exacerbated because the shift is coming to a head right now. This consciousness shift, right? So there's this noticing of what's happening when people wake up. I guess the best way I can describe this is, when I was waking up from the cult, and I had 3 other cult members do an intervention with me to help me wake up, because they had just started waking up to the fact of what we had been involved in, or what we still were involved in. And then they went back and I didn't. I stayed out. And I felt a great responsibility to help them come out, not just them, but other people that I had brought into the cult while I was in it, and presented that to the cult leader. And so it was this, I was trying to speak to them about this and help them understand what they were in and what they were involved in, and trying to convince them and help pull them out. And the more I tried, the more resistance I ran into. And I thought back to earlier when I was really involved in the cult, and how if anyone had approached me about it, and actually someone did, because my sister did, although she didn't use that terminology, but she did start questioning. And this is what I want to get into today, is the importance of raising the questions, so that you're planting the seeds with people, because it's not in an effort to control at all which way they choose to go, because we can't choose the path for someone else, but we can plant seeds. And what my sister did is she said something to me, and she said, "Why does this guy get to decide who you tell about your relationship with him?" Because I was involved with him romantically, and he, I felt like I had to protect him, that I couldn't tell anybody because he had convinced me that it had to be secret. Well, the reason he wanted it secret is because actually he had relationships going on with many women at the same time, and he was trying to control that information. And so if you heard Joy's forecast this morning, or even if you didn't, she was talking about the disruption that gets caused by sharing information. And what happened is, this disruption my sister caused by asking me that question. At the time, I kind of argued with her about it and said, this is just, it's how it is. And I was protective of him and explaining him and his control into reasonableness, which we see a lot of going on right now in the collective, right? Trying to explain these really insane ideas and controls that are being presented to us into reasonableness. But we know in our souls these are unreasonable. And so the importance of speaking up about that today, even if they can't hear you. Because I'll tell you what happened to me with my sister. I may have butted heads with her at the time and tried to explain away what she was asking me. But that question she asked me stuck with me. And a few months later, it helped me leave that cult for good. And I think that's the importance of what we're seeing today in the energy from another expanded perspective on top of what Joy shared this morning, is that, the speaking of your truth, it doesn't have to be, it's not about, convincing anybody or manipulating anybody or anything like that, or trying to choose their journey for them. But it is just to know that you've said what you need to say, and that, trusting that what you're saying is being heard, even if it's not being received at the time. And I think that's really important to understand as coaches, teachers, healers, mentors, is that sometimes we get really attached. Like, I got so many lessons about attachment this past week, massive, like whacked over the side of the head. And, really getting to see like how important it is not to be attached to how many likes your videos get, how many views, or, who's looking at your post. You don't know who's watching and who's looking and who's, we don't even know if we can trust the numbers being shown to us, because there's a lot of numbers being manipulated. And so instead of really focusing on all of that and focusing on the insights on your social media and all of that, just speak your message and trust that it is getting into the right ears. And that even if there aren't a lot of those ears for your message, or maybe there are, but that even if you've just helped one person, you've made a massive difference in the world. And I think that's so important today, when we're called to this connection. But then the second part of this was about, connecting within and connecting with ourselves and connecting with that sense of belonging and that sense of knowing who we really are. I got a lot of lessons this past week in where am I not in alignment with my values, especially my top 3 values. For me, that's wealth, that's partnership, that's commitment. And where am I not in alignment with that? And, when we're presented with manifestations of our big visions that aren't exactly what we were wanting to create, really looking at, okay, well, this is just a feedback from the universe that I'm a little out of alignment with my values, and how can I come back more into alignment with my values today? Because the 2 energy today is all about decisions and coming into collaboration, also not just with other people, but with yourself, with your higher self, with source, with that sense of belonging that's within you. And so, really looking at what's working for me here, what's not working for me here, what kind of feedback am I receiving from the universe right now, and then making the adjustments where you need to. If there's stuff like, I got the 9 of Spades card today from my Pluto, and that's all about cleansing on every level. So, that was a really strong message for me today about, right, we're in this connection energy, but I can't come in and connect with other people until I've come in and connected with myself and gotten my own house in order. And, really spending that time. Like, I remember this morning I woke up and I went into meditation, and what I journaled right before meditation was, I just want to go home. But it wasn't the same wanting to go home when I wanted to die, like in my worst parts of my illness and homelessness and all of that. It was a different sense. It was a sense of wanting to go home, back to myself, back to who I really am, and sit in that space. And so that's what I did. And I was in an extra long meditation this morning. And I've been in extra long meditations for the whole past week. I mean, they've been like an hour each, and I needed that sense of coming home, coming back to myself. And I think there's an invitation for that today as well. So it's not just about connecting with other people, or just connecting with yourself. It's about all of it, right? And really getting to the heart of what is my message and what do I want to share, and not having to have all the answers right now, not having to know everything in this moment. You know, like I was going to come on today and I was like, okay, well, what's my message? And it's like, well, I don't have to know everything. I only have to know what I know in this moment and speak what I feel in this moment. And this is what I'm feeling in this moment. So this is what I'm sharing. And you know, an hour from now that might change and I might have a new message, and that's okay. You know, we're constantly in this state of evolution. And so trying to be perfect or you know, procrastinating is another energy that can come up with this too. And you know, like putting it off until you have it perfect, you have it all together, or you think you are mastered at whatever it is you're trying to do, you'll never do anything if you stay in that state. So, you know, really just allowing yourself to be who you are right in this moment, and know that that's enough, that that's okay, and that, you know, you don't have to have it all together. You don't have, none of us have it all. None of us have all the answers. And really, none of us know much of anything right now, because everything's changing so fast. And you know, we're feeling this energy come in for September already. We're feeling that start to come in. I started feeling it really strong even yesterday, and even, you know, the days leading up to that. And it's really powerful. There's a big sweeping change coming in, and it's going to be a bit jarring, but we're going to be okay. We just need to keep speaking our truth, keep staying in our sovereignty, and really not kowtowing to anybody, not falling into that codependence, not looking to someone else for the answers. The answers we have are within us, and with our connection to and as source. And so really leaning into that, and not just today, but every day going forward. It's so important, can't stress that enough. And we just keep coming into community with each other and practicing this. Who you're spending your time with right now is of paramount importance. So if you're with this like 9 of spades that I got today, if I'm hanging out with the wrong people, I got to change that today. And I was looking at that today, and there's someone in my life who's got to go, and that's okay. You know, I can release them with love, and that's what I'm doing. You know, it's just not the right resonance. It's not going to support me and support this other person if we stay in connection right now. So really looking at your connections too, and you know, who's helping you stay in the high vibe, and who's wanting to expand. And it's not that they have to have it all together. We're all shifting at different rates, but are they focused on possibilities and expansions, or are they focused on playing in the mundane, staying in the drama, staying in the separation, staying in the duality? Because if that's where they are, and that's not where you want to be or where you want to go, whether you have it all perfect or not is not the point, but where are you focused most of the time? You want to spend time with people who are also focused on that as well. And so I think those were the big, so many messages coming in, but those are the big things that I wanted to share right now. I hope this is helpful to someone. And, you know, find your people, find your tribe. It's not about creating more separation, but it is about finding that network of support and really leaning into it right now. So have a wonderful day, and I will catch you guys again later.